I guess, if you will, where I can do whatever I want in Legends. So if you want to join me or help me look for things, you're more than welcome to. You can grab the world save. Man, I got an essay to watch after stream. That's unfortunate. Hold on, let me grab it for you. It is right here. So if you wish to download the save for this world and start messing with it. All right. So yeah, if you want to download the file and mess with it, you can do that. I'm going to sink into some Legends, though. So we've grabbed a new faction called the Problematic Doors. So that's where I'm going to start. I'm going to go to the Problematic Doors and start there. Which means I get to find them. Kind of figured they'd be higher up on the list, but... Realms of Comedy. Problematic Doors. Let's actually need to... Oh, there they are. They're a dwarven civilization of the oracular domain. First general was Olin. First outpost liaison was Odom. The first diplomat was Thightcut. The first king was Ficod Quickpaper. I think we should look up the king. First king. Seems like a good place to start. Sorry about your tickets, cutest ghost. Apologies. But know your limit and bet within it. Yeah, I think we should start off with that king. Ficod Quickpaper. Died in year... or... Wow, okay. That was a short reign. Ficod Quickpaper became the king of the Problematic Doors, became lover with Irel. They held a foot race in year 9 as part of the Festival of Tongs. Competing were Ficod, Moldath, Tombs-Covered, and Tombs-Covered was the victor. Ficod attacked the Bronze Colossus, the hardy, outrageous god, and was struck down. Why did you attack a Bronze Colossus? That was a mighty short-lived king. That doesn't seem wise, my friend. I've seen many instances of was attacked by the Bronze Colossus, but he attacked one. Brave dwarf, maybe not a smart dwarf, but a brave dwarf. Yeah, exactly. Stone. That's funny. Well, that was a... All right, well, let's go back to the Problematic Doors and jump to year 10. See who their second king was. Although it's possible the queen took over. Moldath, Tomb Cells, became a baroness. Yeah, maybe look up what happened to that guy's wife. Asmel Lash Scrapes became the queen. So I guess that's what happened, that they took on a queen in year 11. So Lash Scapes. Was it Lash Scrapes? Yeah, it was Lash Scrapes. Was one of the first of her kind, became queen of the problematic doors in year 11. In the year 12, they held a foot race, which was not the victor. Attacked a forgotten beast. Whispered the Wispy. Her right hand was smashed by the forgotten beast, and she was struck down by the forgotten beast. I'm starting to realize why we're called the problematic doors. Because the doors do certainly seem to be problematic. Yeah, these are some definitely impressive examples of intelligence. All right, well, who was, maybe it makes sense that, you know, because in the fort that we're doing in this world right now, we've just, like, tunneled down to magma and already have access to the clowns. Maybe I was accidentally playing to this faction's style, if you will. Got a bunch of barons in the year 14. Queen. Shipped Tremels. Hey, Patolus. How you doing? Ship Tremels. Oh, you actually had a decent life. That's kind of miraculous, actually. Settled in Apex Wheels. Found a lover. Held a foot race. There were 5 competitors. One of the first of her kind. Didn't do anything until she became queen. So this is our 3rd queen. We had 1 king and now 2 queens. Is to be lucky. Maybe just don't try punching a bronze colossus or a forgotten beast in the nose, you know? That's generally how to be a successful monarch. Also, this one seems to be a lover all over. Let's peek through this while I do something in the background. Patolus, how we doing on this fantastic Saturday? And also, here is a Reddit thread if you'd like to help the stream out directly. And I'm going to... link the world save as well for people. All right. Let's find out a little bit about this queen.
This is Sparta!
Might as well just change that 300 bits sound to "This is Spitalier." Also, hi Spitalier. Thanks for the $3, man. I needed that. I don't really want to get into why, but I needed that. Thank you. Good morning, B-Lug. You missed the spicy stream. Hey, hi. Hi, hello. You can indeed do that, Weevil. Yes, you do have the power to make things happen on this stream. So this is our third monarch. Spicy stream? Oh, you know. Just arguments. The usual shit. Usual suspects. The problematic Doors held a foot race in Apex Wheels as part of the Festival of Tongs. There were 5 competitors. Ushria was one of them, but Moss Fountain was the victor. So this is Ship Trembles, Ushria, our third queen and third monarch in like 15 years. End up being at the end of Jupiter Hell. It's pretty effective, isn't it? Do we still have the Doom Guy emote? Or did they remove that? Yeah, we used to have Twitch used to have a global Doom Guy face. Broke up with their first lover in 36 and found a new lover 2 years later. Gleeful Inch was offered to Ushri of the problematic dwarves by ton boot virgins. That's are your boots virgins or are you a boot virgin? You know what? I don't want to ask. Ridged. The Gleeful Itch was stored in Apex Wheels. Body High, the Defender of Lyrics, was offered. That's an interesting name. I wonder what that artifact is. Body High. RSG!
Pimpin' ain't easy.
But it's a living. Thank you very much for keeping that subscription alive for 35 months, my dude. It's good to have you back. One more thing, 100 bits or more. Body High, H-I-G-H, is the name of that. The Defender of Lyrics. Body High, the Defender of Lyrics is something that was offered to the problematic doors. It means it's either an artifact or a book or a named item. But one more resub or 100 bits, and that's a hype train. Thank you very much, man. The late summer of year 70, Ushrir fought in the Siege of Burns and the assault of Owlstole. Owls don't steal things. Kias steal things. Actually, they do sometimes steal things, just not as often. Ushrir then fought in the Siege of Crazies. Partook in another foot race. In 73, found another lover named Cyril. Few more foot races happened. Ushrir and Udum became friends over shared love of athletics. So after partaking in several more foot races, became friends with Erdem Hori Sealing. Broke up with Cyril. Found a new lover in Catan. And then broke up in 87. Those are decently lived. It's a bronze, so that the artifact, the Body High, is a bronze warhammer adorned with rings of sapphirite and menaces with spikes of giant old bone. It's unfortunate that it went missing. Who made it? In the early winter of 91, Ushri became a member of the Blockaded Sect. Now, what's that? Religion, maybe? Problematic Doors held another foot race. Well, obviously, this queen loves athletics. Fought in 2 more sieges. And then this part's interesting. In 108, Ushri began worshipping the mountain titan Viku, Field Flaxen, the murky coal, and shortly thereafter passed away of old age. Thanks for the 5 cents, Patolis. Cheers. Cheers, man. This lady definitely likes running because this is our queen, right? Or maybe it's a guy. I don't know. It's 2020. But this queen, regardless, is their official title. Very much loves running and leaving lovers. I want to know more about the mountain titan Viku Fieldflaxen, the Murky Coal. Viku Fieldflaxen, the Murky Coal, was a mountain titan. It was the only one of its kind, a great one-eyed fox. It has 2 long curly tails and an austere look about it. Its amber hair is long and straight. Beware its webs. Viku was associated with nature, mountains, minerals, caverns, and animals, and began wandering the Axe of Mobs, which I guess is an area. Enemy of the Arboreous Portals, the problematic doors, attacked dwarves, many dwarves in fact. Many of them escaped unscathed, but many were also struck down. Received the worship of many, many dwarves in the year 27 after a rampage. Where did you rampage? It was all 23 that it rampaged. Doesn't say where in specific, but murdered a bunch of dwarves in 23 and 27 became the object of worship of many, many dwarves. Those look like dwarf names mostly. Including the worship from necromancers and other vile creatures. Throughout this all was striking down and murdering, rampaging throughout. I mean, some godlike figures just deserve to be worshipped. Let's see. Yeah, it seems to be pretty much the same throughout. Lots of murder and receiving the worship of things. It lurks in a place called Gravel Laus and is still alive to this day. Hasn't done anything since 225. We're now in the year 270 in this world. So it's been a while. Including an eagle woman. Lamanth Murky Skins. The eagle woman wasn't even able to get a hit in. She just got killed immediately. Killed a lot of dwarves. I'm not seeing any... There's a few animal people, but it's mostly just dwarves. It's like dwarves and a few animal people. Eagle people. Oh, there's one elf down at the bottom. For the eagle person? Eagle woman. Lamanth Murky Skins. Lamanth Murky Skins. In 225 they died. It's up at the top if you want to go look them up. There's about 4 elves on the list. There's a couple elves. Hey, llama. Those things. Is there a pink fluffy? It doesn't look like it. We'll have to get you in here. I know that there's a few stones. Rhinestone and a stone. Rhinestone's still alive. Stone is dead, though. Other stone is alive. Wonder what Rhinestone's doing now, because Rhinestone probably left. Settled as a member of the Dunes of Charcoal. Settled in Trifle Fortress. Became a miner in Trifle Fortress. Oh, we all know how this goes. Fought in the siege in the fierce onslaught, an assault on rest poisons. Attacked a goblin. Fought with another goblin. Fought with Rhinestone. Settled again in Trifle Fortress. Fought in the sieges of Routing in the year 68. 268. The Shades of Roughness, led by Quatch, clashed with 21 trolls. settled back in Trifle Fortress after the raid. Then in 268, fought in the onslaught of Blazing in defense of Trifle Fortress, became the holy scar of the cult of sharks in 269, settled in Jungle Road. So this is after I left Trifle Fortress, which was one of my fortresses. So after I abandoned it. Settled in Jungle Road, married Dumud, cloister trade, and then clashed with 15 goblins in Jungle Road, slaying 9 in defense of Jungle Road. And clashed, slaying 10. My guess is still alive. Has a wife. Oh, interesting. Lament means bodice. Let's go back to the problematic doors, our new faction, and look up a little bit more. So it was like the year 114 that queen died. Let's go look at who our next royalty was, our next monarch beyond that point. Just found a great, the Influential Council of Confederacy. Oh. The Council of Confederacy, eh? Guild Evident was made the symbol of a baron. Not gonna go looking up symbols, though. Bunch of people became barons and baronesses in the year 113. Looking for kings and queens, though. Influential. They weren't very influential. I still need to make a video about the gangs of Menastubbed. I like this. The Inca fingers of the problematic doors founded Bronze Age. Obviously, Bronze Age is the name of a fortress, but that's a funny name for a fortress. Hey, what's up, man? Good to see you. The dwarf Airwash cover tome became count of the problematic doors. Baroness. The Grey Board. I read that as the Grey Beard initially and got very disappointed when I realized it actually said the Grey Board. Hazing around as you should be. Looking for new royalty that we can look up. Why do all the good name, the League of Celebrations and the Group of Nails and the Long Midnight, none of them do anything? No, the doors are just problematic. It's like year 123 they died, right? Looking for the exact year that queen died. 'Cause we should see somebody new appointed to that job. Held a recital. Okay, I read that as something very different. Kind of wish I could just search by king, but a lot of things I wish I could just search by. The Long Midnight is a cool name, though. It is. The Long Midnight is a good name. The Long Midnight sounds like a band, actually. Not microwave, just I mean, the thing is, microwave, we've done quite a bit of searching through this world already in the past. So just like looking through generic names, at least for me, isn't going to find me much interesting, pertinent information because we've done a lot of that already. I'm more just trying to learn things about the faction that we're playing so that we can properly roleplay as them, you know? Let's find a Baron, because I've seen a few Barons get appointed. Glaze Gills, fortress name, or Hillock's name, alternatively. Okay, I need... That's just too good of a last name. Murder Gloves. I need to know about Murder Gloves, because that's a good name. Atir Murder Gloves was a dwarf born in the year 52, the eldest son of Kivish Alley Metals and Stukos Castle Mirrors. Oh, you became a Sunless Slayer. Oh, no, you got attacked by a Sunless Slayer in 57. Hold on. So you're born in 52. The age of 5 was attacked by a Sunless Slayer Locum Tan-bolted. The Sunless Slayer Locum Tan-bolted fought. While defeated, the latter escaped unscathed. They had some childhood friends. Quite a lot of childhood friends, in fact. And became friends with a dwarf who would later become a necromancer. Man, this guy's already got an exciting life. Became a weapon smith of Chamber Roby? Chamber Obey. Right, yes, there's only one R in that. Became a member of the Flickering Infinite Guild. Oh, that's a good name, I like it. Found a lover named Azum. They broke up a couple years later. Was possessed. And the Silky Roses was created in Chamber Obey by Atir. Was made a family heirloom, broke up with their lover, found another lover, became the tavern keeper in the same place. Started working at the Armored Breakfasts, which is a great name for a tavern, I'll have you know. Broke up with another lover, found another lover, also named Atir, unless it's the same. Oh no, Atir found another lover, never mind, sorry. Named Yushat, and then broke up, and then found another lover and broke up, and found another lover. Became the alderperson of the Flickering Infinite Guild. What the heck is the Flickering Infinite Guild? And the water is trickling down the stairs into your hallway, so you ended up making basically a holding cell for the water to fall into. Oh, interesting. Yeah, it's fun like making trenches and vents and like drainage shafts, even though it's like not the most optimal because you'll get mud everywhere, but it's kind of neat. Found some more lovers. Ah, there you go. In the year 113, Atir became Baron of the Problematic Doors. So this is interesting. Settled in Apex Wheels in 113 and became a Baron. All right. So later this dwarf will offer an artifact to the Problematic Doors, which is why we're looking at it. I didn't even realize this dwarf was a Baron. The Bard Eshten of the Problematic Doors formed a false friendship with Atir in order to extract information in Apex Wheels. More lovers. This dwarf is a prolific lover. It's one of those dwarves where it's just like, how many people have you banged? The Goblin and the Poet. The Goblin, the Poet. What? The Goblin Ago Horrorgates as the Goblin the Poet Einod Craft Punch. Is that a grammatical error? As the Goblin Poet Einod Craft Punch is what it would say, instead of as the Goblin the Poet Einod Crafts Punch. Formed a false friendship. Am I like having a seizure, or is that a grammatical error right here? I think that is. Anyway, Goblin formed a false friendship in order to extract information. Broke up, found some more lovers. Atir began worshipping the zombie dragon, Zeril Spark Sizzles. That we might need to look into. Spark Sizzles. The zombie dragon. Atyr and Lorban became friends due to a shared interest in dance after performance in Apex Wheels. In the late winter of 177, Atyr became obsessed with his own mortality and sought to extend his life by any means necessary. Too proud to give in to death. Atyr and Aiden, focused mirrors, became lovers, began worshipping Eshgor. Might also need to look that one up. Chamber Obey is a problematic Dwarves fort. Kind of figured that's what that would be. Hey, Rocket Man 210. What's up? The Jaw Festival of Law. It's called it was a foot race in a festival called the Jaw Festival of Law. Sounds like something that the Rolling Stones would have played at. Atyr and Monon broke up in the year 212. Same thing, another foot race. Athel and Atyr became lovers. And then he died of old age. So this is interesting. This dwarf sought to extend his life by any means necessary, but still died of old age. Was a baron in our fortress. Chamber Bay has a long legends. Anything of note? Like, is this another Menace Dubs situation? Or is this just like a lot of bland kinds of things? It's interesting to me, though, that... Because generally I find when dwarves extend their life or want to extend their life, they usually succeed. Are you using page up and down, or are you using just the arrows? Had no evil towers? They don't necessarily need evil towers. Because they can go off adventuring and then find... what's the word I'm looking for here? They can go off adventuring and find a tomb, right? Or a vault, rather. They certainly know how to find those if they so desire. Yeah, page up and page down. It moves it way faster. Like, this is me moving with the arrow key. That's me moving with page up, page down. Well, I wanted to look up the Flickering Silvers, a zombie dragon, but I'm also kind of curious about Ishgor. But I'm going to look up Spark Sizzles because that'll be easier to find. Well, I mean, those are page up and page downs, but I've got two different copies of page up, page down. Good question. Spark Sizzles. Spark Sizzles the Flickering Silvers was a zombie dragon animated by unknown forces. Zeril was associated with wealth and fire. Seems to be pretty standard. Stole a wood figurine, probably caught it on fire in the process during a rampage in the year 1. Yeah, definitely seems to like murdering elves. I understand why a dwarf would worship this creature. Violently, too. Gouging their eyes out, ripping their heads off, striking them down in one blow. Violence being glorified. Let's keep skimming this. See what else we can find. I'm looking for like royalty or any notable names getting killed by this thing. I don't see anything super notable, unfortunately. They did become a zombie, though, so... Who raised the zombie? Because this zombie is dead, so I don't know if that necessarily means that it's dead, or if, like... Because some of these zombies, I sometimes wonder if they were raised from the dead from before time. All right, let's keep digging. Sorry, distracted by something off stream. So this thing, like, literally just rampaged and murdered a lot of elves for a lot of years. Related entities. Yeah, literally attacked every single known elvish, as well as some dwarvish, civ. It was sparkly indeed. But damn. It's a lot of dead names. Holy fuck, that's a lot of animals. Killed a panda? I was unaware we had pandas. There's a pile of books and scholarships, so it's a university. Is Chamber obey? Ironic that a university has the word obey in the name. How ironic. Kind of disappointing. Let's go back to the problematic doors. So that dwarf died in what? 2 something? Let's scroll down to the year 230 plus-ish. I think it was around that year. Lots and lots and lots of festivals. Okay, no, I think I'm going the wrong direction. Common Wind, the government of practice. There's the recital of the Wayward Stranger, which was around where I started. They really like holding recitals. It's a lot of ceremonies. This Jaw Festival thing. And the Festival of Tongs. I don't know how much I like the Jaw Festival of Law name. That's a... it's an odd... It's giving me odd mental images, I'll put it that way. Not seeing any. Wondering if we just have a quiet king here that I'm not seeing. Or a queen. Unless I just missed them all. Which is possible. The Oborius Portals. That's a name I see pop up a lot. For anybody who's lost, we are digging through a faction that I'm playing as. Number Dream was made the symbol of the Baron of Mintglaze in 229. We're looking through this faction to figure out as much detail about it as possible so I can play as them better. There we go. Stratbrass became the Baron. 230. So as we get... This one's still alive, too. Born in the year 224, the only son of Libash Bookstricken and Endok Shark Pages. Also good names. So this was about 100 years before they became Baron. Phone is going off, excuse me. Oh, well. My phone bill is ready for this month. Thank you, phone. I already paid it. Red Barrel Scepter was stolen from Chamber Obey by the rock Brave Chance of the Misty Jungle. This is from Stone. The Misty Apes during the Rampage of the Rock Brave Chance. That's unfortunate, man. Interesting. The last thing... This dwarf was pretty active for a number of years. Settled in Apex Wheels and became a Baron of the Problematic Doors in 230. Lance Boot became friends due to a shared interest in poetry. They and then broke up with somebody and then found another lover. Just basically being a lover, not really doing much. Is still alive and is married in 250. Maybe that's why they stopped doing everything. You have 13 hours playing Stone Shard and got nowhere? Well, it's unfortunate that Stone Shard isn't very good. It's... Oh. You really miss out on much? I don't know. I'm cold. It's that time of year where I just kind of stop bothering keeping the heat on for a bit. I'm looking around to see if there's any interesting relatives that I recognize. Former spouse. Former lovers. Wife. They really like that copper beak, which is the owl god, because this faction has a god of owls, which is interesting. Damn those monkeys. Yeah, it's real fun when they throw rocks at you, isn't it? I don't quite say it isn't it, but kind of say, I'm gonna throw it in the middle of sentences sometimes. Kind of roll those words together. Rock make head go splat is more like. All right, let's have a peek. What's some things the problematic doors have done recently? Let's run down to most recent. So one of the reasons, Cutest Ghost, when I play Caves of Cut, I almost always take, it's one of the reasons I almost always take the, why am I blanking? Long fur trait mutation thing, so monkeys like me, and then they just don't throw rocks at you when they see you, and it's so nice. Dodic Castlefish. It's some pretty recent appointments to Baron. As recent as the year 257. But who knows, like, what fortress is. Attack the Treaty of Stones. Giant sponge became their enemy. I saw that for a second, I think. Oh, no, it's just my dwarf, the giant sponge. It becomes difficult once you start seeing all of your players' actions because legends become very repetitive. An unknown civilization. Wait, what? An unknown civilization slipped into Everdrim undetected by the indigo plank of the problematic doors. The tests attacked the combined gear of the problematic doors. An unknown civilization slipped into Or Evendrim? I don't think I've ever seen that before. Is that like elves sneaking into a thing? Or just like learn where the monkeys are and avoid them, right? Or ranged weapons work pretty good against monkeys, I'll say that. What, for Stone Shard? Stone Shard has one main problem, or it has absolutely no content. So they've taken the very small amount of content that it has and stretched it over like a 6-hour playtime. And so the result is you get a very uninteresting small amount of content stretched over too much time. Like they have about 30 minutes of content, in my opinion, but they stretch it over like 6 hours because they make your leveling super slow. They make everything kill you super fast. And they, at least at the last time I played it, I think they may have changed this now. The game only has one AI, so enemies don't actually act differently. They all act exactly the same, regardless of their gear, stats, level, anything. A lot of what makes roguelikes interesting is when you see certain enemies and they behave differently. Like, one of the things that makes a game like, let's just say Lost Flame interesting is when you see an archer, they'll run away when they run out of arrows, and like punch you when they absolutely run out of arrows. And that kind of behavioral differences from different AIs is part of what makes them interesting. And because Stone Shard just has one AI, it's painfully dull. Yeah, but they're charging money for it, so it can be criticized. That's my opinion, anyway. Not many people agree with me on that. That's fine. But in my opinion, if a game is in early access, they have enough faith in it to sell it. If they have enough faith in it to sell it, then I'm allowed to criticize it. And that's my issue with the game. And yes, there's definitely room for improvement. They probably will improve it, but currently it's dull as dishwater and very uninteresting. Me? Oh, really? That's actually really funny. I really like that, Cutest Ghost. I really like that. All right, let's look up this general. Chamber Beach. Maffle. Chamber Beach. Whoops. Wow, you had a short life. 239, the dwarf Maffle Chamber Beach was the eldest daughter of Dacost Lancer Quakes, and became the general of the problematic dwarves and settled in Apex Wheels. You know, I think we should look up Apex Wheels, because Apex Wheels seems to be like the mountain home, or at least somewhere very important. Everybody who gets promoted settles in Apex Wheels. So let's look up Apex Wheels. Also, if anybody would like to download this fortress to, or this world save to follow along, you can do so right there. The Apex of Wheels? I don't know. I'm assuming the Apex Wheels is not on wheels. But it's certainly the apex of something. Can wheels even have an apex? Like, what is the definition of the word apex? Hold up. No, not legends. The uppermost point. So you can't have an uppermost point of a wheel. That's what I thought. It's like the top of a triangle, right? Is the apex of something. So you can't really have an apex of a circle. Interesting thought. Like, I guess you kind of can, but you kind of can't. Yeah, I guess if it, but it says it's a wheel, right? Like, because the name of this fortress is Apex Wheels. So I guess it would be like the apex in motion of the constant point of the top of the wheel while the wheel is rotating. It's got the wheels on the apex? I guess. I don't know. It's just, it's an oddly thought-provoking name for Dwarf Fortress. The Ouroboros portals of the problematic doors founded apex wheels. You're reaching? Yeah. I don't know. I like it. But my wheels are octagons. I remember watching this, like, Bible studies cartoon that my mom put on the TV once when I was, like, very, very young. No idea how old I was. Or maybe my grandma put it on. I can't even remember. But it had, like, this little informational bit about the invention of the wheel and how cavemen learned to pull carts with wheels and how they were more effective than just dragging carts. And there's this really funny, or at least I thought it was hilarious when I was a child, where initially the wheels are squares and they're just like pulling them. And then someone's just like, hey, if this rolls, so they like cut the corners off and make them into octagons and they roll a little better. And then they like chisel the edges off of the end and they become circles and they roll nicely. I can't remember what it was called, but certainly a long history. Yeah, so this seems to be very much... I'm not seeing much in the way of combat so far. We're in the year 50. It's a whole lot of, like, ceremonies, processions. In fact, they're recruiting monks into the faith of tools. I wonder if that's, the dwarf Kossoth blockade galleys recruited monks into the faith of tools. I'm assuming the faith of tools would be a religion. These monkeys, you're done. Bring a ranged weapon to deal with monkeys. The monkeys tend to hang around, what's the name of that? Red something. Red Rock. They tend to hang around. So if you just avoid Red Rock, you should run into less monkeys. And kind of the surrounding mountains. But bring a gun. It'll help. And then hide around corners, because line of sight, they can't hit you. So go in during the day and hang in there. Yourself actually wrote a small autobiography entitled My Friend... Aw. She was her own friend. That's funny. Also, this is kind of interesting. Apex Wheels had a leopard woman named Abo, authored matched, living in it. We had animal people living here. We had writing before we had the wheel. Yeah, dude, wheels are hard, man. Wheels are hard. Blockade Dune. That's a good last name. Made a fortune gambling. Dwarf with a good name made a fortune gambling. Oh, there's Ton Boot Virgins again. That's it. I need to look up Ton Boot Virgins because that name is too funny. Boot Virgins. Brute Virtue. Ton Boot Virgins was a dwarf in year 30. It is the fifth eldest son of Suxel Mossfountain and Asmil Tombdrums. Definitely making a lot of babies, those two. Didn't seem to do too much. Got possessed once. Created plague, gorged the gleeful itch. Found some lovers, broke up. Found more lovers, broke up. Gave up being a weaponsmith to become a dancer. Oh, wow. That's a plot twist. Made a good friend due to a shared interest in dance. Got married to Dumad Roughcalls. Settled in tired darches. Was denied apprenticeship under Tun, because the latter prefers to work alone. Tun fought in the siege of Burns at the assault of Owlstole. Became a member of the Barricades of Length. And then a Yeti, the Invisible Club, attacked Tun. The Yeti and the Invisible Club fought with Tun, but the latter escaped unscathed, and then he died 30 odd years later. Gee, Panta, what's up, dude? I want to know more about that Yeti. Friendly Met. A male Yeti. Doesn't seem to die. Was one of the only ones of his kind. He settled in the Spike of Revealing, a mountaintop. Became the enemy of many people. Devoured many animals, including turkeys, drakes, hens, ganders, cats, and dogs. Became the enemy of the Crazed Fortress. Devoured the goose of the Crazed Fortress. Also, the Crazed Fortress is a pretty good name. Still around to this day. 9 notable kills. 39 other kills. Mostly livestock and animal. Deucim Strife Walls. Sure, I can look them up. The Male Dwarf. Oh. Was born in the year 118, was the third eldest son of Moses Figure Visions and Thob Cloister Slot. The human Iwo and Deucin became friends, found a lover, became a miller, got married, settled in Stillpage, became a miner, divorced, found a lover, got married, divorced. Oh, found a lover. Got married, divorced, broke up with the other lover that he was together with while married. Found another lover, got married, divorced. Became lovers, got married, stopped being a miner, settled in Chamber Obey, became a leather worker, became a member of the Company of Glowing, was taken by a fey mood, stricken by melancholy, failed the mood, failing to create an artifact. You don't see that very often. Yeah, that is interesting. You don't see dwarves die of fey moods. But, man, this dwarf was a playboy. He got busy, let me say that. Yeah, axles are indeed a complex concept, that is for sure. That's funny. I feel like I've seen that before. I feel like I saw that in a... I like how he drowned himself. Yeah, you don't see suicide too often in Legends. Generally, it's like stricken by melancholy and starved to death. Or died of thirst. But drowned himself? I once had a dwarf that walked up onto the upper wall and jumped off, which was a 2Z level drop. Until they died. It was actually like kind of distressing because my medical dwarf ran over and picked them up and put them in the hospital, and the dwarf just immediately stood up and like crawled back up to the top of the wall and threw themselves off again until it like crushed their skull. It was kind of disturbing, actually. Which is why, like, the, how the developer describes this game, you've seen them meditate on suicide before? They'll meditate on whatever, I think it's spheres is the word. I don't know if they're supposed to do that, Ocelot, but yeah. He was constantly depressed, and every single time he had like that little flashing brown arrow, he would just walk up to the wall and jump off. And I don't know what was making him do that. Like, I almost feel like it was some sort of pathing bug. Like, I know that like they can willingly like go on hunger strike and starve themselves to death in suicide in stress, right? But anyway, in regards to the meditating on suicide, it was if they worship a god that happens to have like the representation of suicide or death or murder or any of the other dark things that gods can represent, they can meditate on that, or one of the other words that is used for various forms of worship. It's just that they can do that, even if it's like not intended. Yeah, I mean it's a statement in the description of the Steam version, right? It's like in some, I think the wording is in some rare cases it can end with dwarves taking their own lives. What was your wife's name? Whisper clasps. Hold on, what was it? Worship clasps. Was the eldest daughter of Einod and Urvad. Interesting. Also seems to have had... okay, so his wife was an author. And also seems to have had several lovers and marriages from the stuff I skipped through. Hey, screw it. And Melville and Cog became lovers. But then Deucem Strifewalls and Melville became lovers. They immediately get married. And it was, what, 213 that he died, drowning himself after failing to make that artifact, correct? Well, look at this. Excision, My Love, was authored by Melville after a dream. I'm assuming, you know, it's a book, but that's an oddly profound title to have right after your husband kills himself. I don't want to... I'm assuming that's a book. Wasn't Existence. Okay, hold on. Let's just look. My Love. Excision, My Love. There it is. Holy shit, it's on Cyclops Parchment? Excision, My Love was a legendary Cyclops Parchment scroll. Dude. This is a Cyclops Parchment scroll. The rollers are made from yellow jasper. Written on the item is a manual entitled Excision, My Love. Authored by Soxel Inkfire. But that wasn't the... Dwarves can't. Other things can. Okay, hold on. Did I read that wrong? No, I didn't. I think there's just multiple Excision, My Loves. Yeah, this is the one. An emerald-bound codex, so not the previous book of the same title. It's a 48-page manual entitled Excision, My Love, authored by Melville. It concerns the surgical method of excision. The writing has a touch of melancholy, and overall the prose is great. I always say pros in a weird way. It's pros, but I always say pros for whatever reason. I need to like train my brain to not do that. But you can't, they can in Legends and they can in World Gen. You can't in Fortress mode is like the specificness. I think you can in Adventure. But Jack Nurk is right. I think in Fortress mode, even if they're a Necromancer, you can't do it. But in Legends and World Gen, they can. Yeah, sir. Definitely a fell mood. They will butch up. Is it a book called The Human Stone? I like to think that this book has a touch of melancholy due to the dwarf committing suicide. I almost want to like take this little story and make like a mental health video about how life is precious out of it. I feel like I could condense that down into 1 minute, but it might also be way too real. Could definitely do it though. Might be too real. Or, I don't know. Shit like that kind of hits me in the heart a little bit, though. You haven't played in a few updates. Can dwarves learn from books yet? Yes? Question mark. So, dwarves learn knowledge from books. Does it actually change the game in any way? No. But a dwarf could write a book about pulleys, right? And then another dwarf can read that, and then they'll get the reoccurring thought in their brain, I learned about pulleys, and that was satisfying, you know? Or if they don't like knowledge, I learned about pulleys, and I don't feel anything kind of deal. So it's like a method of making dwarves happy. And I don't know if dwarves read books multiple times. I don't think they do. But the more books you have, the more things you have to read, and any dwarf that happens to like knowledge can go read books and get positive thoughts from it. It doesn't actually change your game in any way, though. Like, dwarves can write books about weather patterns, and they will read it, and they'll be like, I read this book. There's a book called The Human. Of the Human. The Human book. Is this one? 17-page essay entitled The Human Book. Authored by Atho, and it concerns the union of heat in the late autumn of 75. The writing is stunningly self-indulgent. Overall, it's not awful, but not very good either. That one? Or are you thinking of something else? This is also The Humans. Legendary Forgotten Beast Parchment Scroll. The rollers are made from slate. It's an essay entitled The Humans, authored by Sal. It concerns the foot race held by the Brush Tongues in Whisper Clasped in the celebration of fountains in the late spring of 186. The writing is depressing. Probably because he lost. I mean, it's just The Human. I mean, I've seen Toady make a few different ideas on things he could do with books. One that I've seen is like, this is my favorite one, although this one's a tricky one, which is when they open up a book, it'll give you like a portal into Legends if it happens to be a history book, and it'll like give you like a chunk of a, like if they write a book about a fort's history, maybe they write a book about a 10-year period in a specific fort's history and then just opens up that chunk of Legends in your Fortress mode screen. I've seen that as an idea, which I think would be really cool. So like it doesn't actually improve the dwarves anyway, but gives the player more knowledge about the world without having to go to Legends, which could be really interesting. The other one that I've seen would be to have like involve it. I have a feeling that it's something that you'll see more because I have heard him also talk about this, where With myths and magic, books will be a way for them to learn magic, just like currently with necromancy. So I don't know. I'm sure they'll get world without the human. Wait, what? Can the humans save the world? Oh, actually, hold on. I need to look at that. Breastbound Codex, 19-page essay entitled Can the Humans Save the World? Authored by Urgad Neomaze. It concerns the start of the poet of the human, Urgad Neomaze, Stoker Spray in 40. It is completely unhinged rant and skips around a lot. Overall, the prose is not awful, but not very good either. Yep. I don't think the human can save the world, chat. But yeah, I don't know. That stuff's very difficult. And even if Toady did add small additions there, I don't know if the player would notice, you know? But that's like a lot of the mechanics in DF is that the player literally will never notice them unless they are like put directly in front of your nose. Records when it counts. I like the titles of the books a lot more often than the First Human, then the World. 25-page essay. First the human, and then the world. It concerns the settling of the human, Gamo. For reference, just for a little bit of visual clarity, this faction right here is the one that we're looking at. Right here. This faction. You can very slowly give a tiny amount of skill, doctrine, mechanics, or skills through books. I think you might be confusing books with guild halls. The human is on the next page of the results. Oh, it's like the bottom one, I see. This one. The Pipe Opal Bound Codex is under my camera. Holy crap. On the written portion is a 268-page chronicle entitled The Human, authored by Tulun's Square Granite. It concerns the union of heat, and overall, this is a terrible compilation of information. The work has 3 chapters. The first chapter covers the rise of the Etten Ansa, the teacher of direction, as the enemy of the union of heat, in the mid-spring of year 11. The second chapter covers the conviction of the human Ezu Fairtrops for embezzlement by the Union of Heat in the late spring of 66. The third chapter covers the wrestling competition by the Union of Heat, square marked, of the Union of Heat in marked squirted as part of the most celebration in the year 107. I don't think I've ever seen a book with multiple chapters. It might be legit anti-human propaganda. Why are you reading Lord of the Rings? Because we're looking at Legends. How's things, Sidfield? That's interesting, actually. Thanks for making me find that one. A terrible compilation of information written by a dwarf entitled The Human. I mean, it could be about their friend who happens to be a human. That is an odd one. I'll say, Sebastian. Read the last Discord story. I might as well keep reading. It's been a while since I've read a Discord story, so I gotta scroll up a little bit. Hold up. Now we shall chant to almighty Asland, praying for cheese curds. Suddenly yaks yodeling about nothing. I think about. Astronomical snacks smell great, so we eat galaxies on tables made of space penguins' bones. Whale cake is gross. Counting down to 32. When gargling kangaroo out jump falls. Counting badly, indeed, rest from existence forever. Sentences that don't make sentences end. Continuing to fail counting is funny, haha. 17 kobolds at Bold Barber were eating hair when suddenly there was a rock, great soaring bird. The bird soars moistly away from tragedy with small morsels. Count to 3. Grammar be broken. Sorry. Mom, can you stop talking to owls? They suck. Bogus. If you would like to add to that, go into my Discord and go to the Add a Word Stories room. Yep. That was something. I read that as the Elvis. Wave depletion. Cheers, man. That's an interesting book. Yeah, I don't believe I've ever seen a book like that. The book you just found? Okay, I guess I need to look at this book that you just found. Elves for the Beginning Practitioner. Which one? I guess they're probably the same. Tiger Ironbound Codex. Nope, they are definitely not the same. This is a 227-page cultural history entitled Elves for the Beginning Practitioner, authored by Zutton Trumpet Scorch. It concerns the circumstantial snarls, and the overall text emphasizes the worthlessness of eloquence. Whoa, the writing is quite cheerful. The prose is masterful. The work has 3 chapters. The first chapter concerns the impersonation of the elf Itha Kostions by the elf Mile Bore blocked before the circumstantial snarls of the in the early autumn of 150. The second chapter covers the impersonation of the elf Quakolva, yelled sparkled by the elf Eli Valley Anvils before the circumstantial snarls in the early autumn of 154. The third chapter, of course, covers the impersonation of the elf Ilumi Spellflaxen by the elf Witchsheen before the circumstantial snarls in the late spring of 169. Can I just say that is like Tom Clancy's Dwarf Fortress. It's like a story of espionage and trickery and lies. Based on a true story, in fact. Do those one-word stories sound like something uttered to activate sleeper antigens? Yeah? I like the grammar be bad, sorry. It's a story about a comedian who does impersonations. I like the... I mean, that could also be a legitimate one. I really like the kind of... They ruined Skyrim? Wait, what? How did elves ruin Skyrim? Skyrim ruined Skyrim. Like, IMO, but I'm also not a huge fan of Skyrim, so maybe I'm not the one to judge, but... What was the Tiger Iron one? This is a Tiger Ironbound Codex. It's a 12-page essay entitled Elves for the Beginning Practitioner, authored by Errol Marty Cheers. It concerns the apprenticeship of the elf Itel by the elf Ethansi. Flare screen in 214. The writing shows a hint of tenderness, yet occasionally changes topic abruptly. It's amateurish. Nothing super outstanding, but is bound in tiger iron, which is pretty cool, I must say. Pretty cool. You're looking for weird books now? I might keep looking for weird books too, to be honest. I might keep looking for weird books. The weirdest god I've encountered? The problem with weird gods is you start to see kind of circles. I had a god once. Well, it wasn't a god, but it was a being that the dwarves worshipped. The weird thing about that being was it was a blob of mucus. And it was like, it was associated with disease, blight, and death. It was just weird that it was a titan that was a blob of mucus. It's like they worshiped the booger god of snotness. I wonder if it's offensive to call a blob god of snotness snooty. The Secret Duel is probably very disappointing. This is a Forgotten Beast parchment scroll. The rollers are made from blue jade. Written on the item is an essay entitled The Secret Duel, authored by Adu Finefold. It concerns the scuffle between the dingo and the human in the late summer of 11, which the former emerged victorious. The dingo won? It's not awful, but not very good either. And it was lost in Virgin Plank. R.I.P. That died in what, year 1? Yeah, that's pretty standard. Standard. Captivated by proof. We see glow. Lots of untitles. Great pits. Factual burning. It's a kangaroo parchment scroll. The rollers are made from rock salt. Written on the item is a manual entitled Factual Burning, authored by Dubmyth. It concerns the classifications of combustible materials. The writing is somewhat self-indulgent and is somewhat showy. Explosion big and pretty. It's not awful and not very good either. Pathways to Economy. Books about Crypt Combined. Brutes Combined. Life with Values, a story about me. Life with Values is a 62-page manual bound... Life with No, it's valves, not values. I'm sad. Entitled Life with Valves. Authored by Eustress. Concerns the construction and use of valves. It has a hint of viciousness to it. It gets off track from time to time. Amateurish at best. Surgery and Theory of the Staff. The Secret of Pulleys. An Introduction to Oars. Better Goblin. The written portion consists of a 38-page essay entitled Better Goblin, authored by Suma's Lure Dungeon. It concerns the acceptance of the goblin. Snuma's Lure Dungeon. Oh. Well, it was written by... It's a book about a goblin being a better goblin as a member of the Vises of Buckling in the mid-spring of 83. The writing is stunningly self-indulgent. Prose is not awful, but not very good either. 62 pages on how to make valves. Yeah, it sounds like a university book that you'd buy. Probably, yeah. Animal courtship is usually about... Like, I've seen many books about animal courtship in Long Death specifically, actually. And the reason why I get so many of those in Long Death is because I have a bunch of naturalists in my dungeon, in my library, in my fortress, that spend most of their time pondering animal diets and stories about animals. So we actually have several books basically named Animal Courtship because it's about like breeding habits of animals. Basically it's Planet Earth, but dwarfs. And except narrated by Urish McDorface instead of David Attenborough, you know? David Attenborough is just like, and then this is where the bugs do it. Except in the book, it's like, and that's how an elephant is made. Better Goblin was created, and Better Goblin was lost in Owlstole. Question dissection. It's a 136-page manual entitled Question Dissection, authored by Q. Slybear. Concerns dissection of creatures. The writing is stunningly self-indulgent and amateurish at best. Thoughts on the trees. 137-page guide entitled Thoughts on the Trees, authored by Nagom Steelrise. Concerns the forest retreat of blaze smoothness. The prose is amateurish at best, and it's stunningly self-indulgent and drives forward relentlessly. And I read that all backwards for some reason. Urish Attenborough. Someone needs to make that sketch. Like, if someone who's good at doing a David Attenborough voice needs to do like a 10-minute sketch, or not even like a 5-minute sketch of just like, this is a buffalo in its natural habitat. Now it is charging a Kia. It is trampling the Kia to death. How disturbing. That being said, David Attenborough is a wonderful human being. The written portion consists of a 73-page guide entitled The Art of Apex Wheels. The written portion entitled The Art of Apex Wheels, authored by Inga's Joyous Crystal. There we go. Enjoy Crystal. Enjoy Crystal. It concerns the Fortress of Apex Wheels. The writing has a touch of melancholy. Overall, the prose is not awful, but not very good either. That's not possible because, well, Forgotten Beasts are all the first and only ones of their kind and unable to breed. It's kind of sad, really. They're like mules, but... Speaking of mules, have you ever had mules pop up? Have you ever bred a mule? Because I've had donkeys and horses and had baby mules pop up, and they're adorable. Thoughts on trade, the elf in the universe, about the economy. True elf, this is like True Detective. Found YouTube, the book, interpretation of the algorithm on YouTube. I am adorable? How so? Or are you saying someone else is adorable, Hayes? One of the books is made of gray demon parchment. Lots of forgotten... What? Ah, there. Hold up. The point in theory is your opinion is false. This gray demon parchment scroll, the rollers are made from brimstone. Written on the item is a manual entitled The Point in Theory, authored by Kubok Canyon Glaze. It concerns geometric objects, points, lines, and circles and triangles, and so on. The writing is quite self-indulgent and somewhat showy, hence why it's on a legendary demon parchment scroll. Overall, the prose is amateurish at best. It lives in the True Homes, a library. With crappy writing? Yep. It's literally a Lovecraftian scroll about geometric shapes. I mean, there's lots of good paper out there, screw it, wasted with crappy writing. There's another one. Dark Gnome. It's a legendary Dark Gnome parchment scroll. The rollers are made from pewter. The written manual is entitled Observation After the End, authored by Atir Blue gloves. Concerns the methods of empirical observation in astronomy. The writing is fairly cheerful and passable. There's two copies made of it. That's a cool one. I like this book. It's literally just titled Art. Art! It's a 23-page essay entitled Art. The written portion, or it's 23-page essay by Thelier Prime Sister. There we go, not semester. Prime Sister. It concerns the value of artwork. It's passable. Elves. Writing a book just simply titled Art. This parchment scroll is literally made out of a nightmare. Life with the Reclusive Plays. This is a nightmare parchment scroll. They never show up in forts. I've never once seen a gnome outside of Legends. Not in adventure mode, not anywhere, period. Never seen a gnome. I don't think... They're one of those creatures where I wonder if they can show up in forts. I'm actually just going to move this slightly. Covering text when I have my camera on. I sometimes wonder if they even can do things in your forts. I don't honestly know. But this is a nightmare parchment scroll. Satin spar? What is satin spar? Like a crystal. So it's a nightmare parchment scroll with rollers made of this. Oh, really? They're neat for about 5 seconds? That tends to be the case with all super rare animals in DF. But yeah, that would make sense if they don't ever show up outside of haunted biomes. Entitled... Okay, so it is... The rollers are made from satin spar. The item is an essay entitled Life with the Reclusive Plays, authored by Sov Knowing Gave. It concerns the acceptance of the elf Savar Knowing Vine. As a member of the Reclusive Plays in the year 65, the writing overflows with sadness. It's amateurish at best. Lots of books get lost in this world. Hold on. There's a book called New Art. It's also an elf who wrote it. I wonder if this is a sequel to Art. Nintendo presents New Art. New Art was it's a manual entitled New Art. Concerns the value of art. Also stunningly self-indulgent. Wow. This one's very real. This is a nice bound codex. It's a 23-page short story entitled War. Only Weeps Afterward. Authored by Usteth Toombs channeled. This dwarf must find the idea of war utterly repellent and would have peace at all costs. No particular subject. The writing is quite florid. The prose is not awful, but not very good either. It was lost in the fitting place known as Earthhole. Of course you'd lose books in Earthhole. Division! It's a Forgotten Beast scroll. Rollers are made from nice. It's a manual entitled Division. It concerns an algorithm for dividing one number into another, possibly yielding a remainder. The writing is somewhat self-indulgent, and the prose is not awful, but not very good either. toxic substances in the modern era. First wedges, then the world. After Kier, a Gazelle parchment scroll. It's an essay entitled After Kier by Kamaka. Concerns the authoring of The Tinted Peach and Streams by the human Kamaka. So it's a book about a book they wrote. Is a Helix of the Problematic Doors? Earthhole, eh? The Hollow Amazement and Deer. This is a peach-faced lovebird parchment scroll. The roller is made from onyx. Written on the item is a novel entitled The Hollow Amazement and Deer by Cece, point embraced. The work has no particular subject. The writing uses only artful words and phrases selected with care. Overall, it's passable. So it's poetry? It's like a Caves of Cud book. So this book's called The Gutter Explained. I really wish it was about like stabbing people in the stomach, but I have a feeling it's probably about actual like rain gutters. The Monastery in the Age of Myth is a 119-page guide entitled The Monastery in the Age of Myth, created by Kogan. It concerns the monastery stoked galleys. The writing is reasonably serious and amateurish at best. It is adhesives. It's about glue, probably. The 96-page manual entitled It is Adhesives, authored by Uja. Hailed released. It concerns the preparation and use of adhesive materials. The writing breaks sharply between topics regularly, and it is quite touching. And the prose is passable. There are 4 books. Only 4? Now, just for lore reasons. No Bobette books? Aw. No Dredge Ditches books? Can Diverth save the world? A Forgotten Beast parchment scroll. Oh, it was lost in 214. They had so much hope. This is a Forgotten Beast parchment scroll. The scroll rollers are made from diorite. The written on the item is a guide entitled Can Diverth Save the World? Authored by Ficod. It concerns the fortress Diverth, and the writing shows a hint of tenderness. The prose is not awful, but not very good either. It was before they dug too deep. How sad. This one was written after they dug too deep. The Mystery of Diverth is a legendary Weevil brute parchment scroll. President Weevil, are you here? Because this book's made of you. This is a Weevil brute parchment scroll. The rollers are made from lace agate. The item is entitled The Mystery of Diverth, authored by Risen Windyglazed. It concerns the settling of the dwarf Risen Windyglazed in Diverth in 135. It is quite florid. Overall, the prose is not awful, but not very good either. In the early summer of 203, The Mystery of Diverth was created in trampled gifts by the dwarf Risen Windyglazed. That's actually fucking cool. So it's about a dwarf's time living in Diverth. Again, before 214 when they dug too deep. That's actually really cool. But it's neat that it's made on a legendary Weevil brute. So I guess they must have dug too deep by that point, because it was 214 that they dug too deep, right? Or 214 that Bob had arrived and murdered them all. So I guess they must have already dug too deep, but they somehow had demon parchment already. So they knew that there was darker things coming. The Principles and Practice. Diverth, Principles and Practice. Consists of an 89-page guide entitled Diverth, Principles and Practice. authored by Mincott. Harry Labors. It concerns the fortress of Diverth. The writing is serious, has some serious tone, yet is somewhat showy. Overall, the prose is amateurish at best. Principles and practice was... All right. It's been what? A little over... almost 2 hours of Legends. Well, hour and a half. I think it's time we dive into Dwarf Fort. So if you want to keep going through these Legends, you can get this save right there in the chat. But we have an active fortress in this world. I think we should dive into that. But before I do, I just want to talk about something real quick.